to caffeine. That's what happened to me. I can remember the first time that I tried soda. I loved the way that it tickled my tongue, and it just tasted so sweet. It was great. But the after effects, oh my gosh, I was so energized. I could play for hours without getting tired. It was great. I couldn't wait to have another one. And I asked my mom, please, can I have another soda? She said no. Fortunately, she kept my addiction in check because she wouldn't let me have soda whenever I wanted to. Then, in my 20s, my sister and I were at an airport, and we were very tired. It was a long day. We'd been traveling. There was another plane to catch, and we needed a little pick-me-up. So my sister, who was already a coffee addict, introduced me to her dealer. His name was Starbuck. And when I first reached the front of the line at his store at the airport, I told him I had coffee once when I was a kid, but I didn't really like it very much. It tasted extremely bitter. It was disgusting. So he said, well, I have something that I think you'll like. So you won't even taste the coffee. It's called a Frappuccino. And he sold it to me. I was sold. I tasted it, and it was great. It was like a milkshake, and I couldn't taste the coffee at all, but it woke me up. The Frappuccino, unfortunately, was my gateway drug into stronger drinks, like lattes and mochas. But it got very expensive because I was purchasing at least one a day, the large size, and sometimes even more. I would spend more than $100 a month on groceries, or on coffee, I should say, at Starbucks. And one cup eventually ended up not being enough. I needed more and more to get the same effects that I had the first time that I had that Frappuccino. So then I was introduced to Starbucks' distant cousin, Pete, spelled P-E-E-T. His coffee was a little bit stronger, so it was able to keep me awake longer than I was when I was drinking Starbucks coffee. But again, Pete's coffee eventually lost its luster, and I had to make my own coffee at home. I ended up drinking several cups a day, probably 5 to 6 cups a day when I was making my own coffee at home. It was cheaper, but again, I lost the same effect. I had to keep drinking more and more. I even experimented with espresso drinks by themselves, nothing in them, which is a big stretch for me because I didn't like coffee plain. I also experimented with energy drinks and chocolate-covered espresso beans. Now, you may be thinking, caffeine addiction, it's not that big of a deal. But I could feel the effects on my body. I didn't get a full night of sleep. I had stomach pains. Even my kidneys hurt from drinking too much coffee. And it affected my appetite. I wouldn't eat very much. And when I did eat, the coffee would strip my bones of any nutrients that I had taken in for that day. So I realized that I had a problem. And I tried to give it up for a couple of days, and it was excruciating. I had bad headaches, and I was asleep by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I realized at that point that I was addicted, and I decided to avoid caffeine at all costs. And since I wasn't able to do it cold turkey, I decided to do it a little bit at a time. So first I focused on soda that I had started drinking when I was a child. And after a couple of years, I was able to give up soda completely. And then I went to energy drinks, because I was drinking those a lot. Being a video game player, that's something that video game players drink a lot, is energy drinks. And after about 6 months, since it took me 2 years to get rid of soda, the energy drinks after that were pretty easy to get rid of, and I stopped drinking those after 6 months. So I can say that I am soda and energy drink free today. The coffee was a little bit harder because not only did it wake me up, but it warmed me up and it made me feel good. So I decided on the 1st of this year to give up coffee, and it was hard. I had headaches for probably 3 days, maybe even more, and I was definitely asleep and in bed by 7:30 at night, which is very early. Too early, I think. So I decided to give that up. And a couple of days ago, I can say that I did it. I'm not tired anymore. I don't think I have control, but eventually that is my goal, to have control over the addiction. I don't plan on giving up caffeine forever. I just don't want to depend on it. I want to have control of it, and I want to have it during special occasions. And I challenge you to try to give up caffeine for a few days. And if it's really